Hello and welcome to an episode 93. And I thought today was going to be fairly simple. I got a really cunning plan. We've been looking recently at some of the SM57s that I've got in my collection and how some of them turned out to be fakes, and one of the ones that was a genuine one I managed to break. I tried to fix it and actually ended up making it worse, so it took me 2 attempts to get that right. So all in all, I sort of thought, well, I've done about everything I can think of on 57s. And then a little job came up and I needed another one. So what I did was thought, well, I'll just order one. And that's where the trouble starts. So I was trying to buy, obviously, a genuine, brand new SM57. Now, clearly, if you buy an SM57 and it comes in a box like this, you know it's a fake one, don't you? So I thought, well, look, I've got to buy a brand new 57. So what I'll do is I'll buy one from a dealer that I trust. And in this particular case, I decided to go to Thomann in Germany. So I ordered an SM57 from them at the normal retail price. And then I thought I'll look around for the sort of fake that would trick people. People who, with the best will in the world, would look at the pictures and think, oh yeah, that's a genuine one because it's in a real box. If you're going to choose a microphone, then if you've only spent 20 quid on an SM57, I mean, no fool is going to believe you've got a genuine one. But if you spent 50 or 60 pounds on a genuine one that was advertised end of line or stock taking clearance, or as I discovered a few people are doing, used once then reboxed. So in actual fact they're sort of making out that the microphone was bought, used once, and then it's been put back in the box, and you're going to get the bargain because you're not paying the full price. So it can be a bit tricky. So that's what I did, and I looked for a picture of a SM57 that was cheaper but looked real. I bought one on eBay. Cost me about £45. So for a fake, that's quite a lot of money. I thought I could easily whip it out of the box and instantly go, yeah, it's a fake, isn't it? It hasn't really worked like that. And a few things have tripped me up. So I've also had to be really careful by putting labels on things because it's so easy to make a mistake. There are some signs that one is not what you think. But the odd thing is that the fake has actually got a more substantial instruction book. Not that you need an instruction book for a microphone, but the fake has got a multi-language, quite chunky book with it, which makes you think, oh, that's okay. Whereas the brand new one now ships with a leaflet, a double-sided sheet of A4. So Shure have cheapened them up. And it's not the only thing Shure have done. So let's start at the beginning. A lot of the differences are to do with the typography. So clearly they've probably taken detailed photographs and they've recreated lots of the things that they need to do. Now if we move to this side of the box, yeah, there are a few more problems. So what we've got is the misaligned 57. If you look to the top left, you see where the 57 is. It's about a couple of millimetres in real measurements on the box. It's down and to the left, and it's pretty obvious. If we go a little bit further out, you can see where you've actually got the registered name with a little symbol that's on the fake box and it's not on the genuine one. And very oddly, the titles at the bottom should be green, and they are on the genuine box, and on the fake box they're actually white. If we move to this one, there is a difference, and mainly because they've tweaked the exposure. So we've actually got the contrast is up, the white peaking is up, and that's probably an amp cab. So it's probably guitar cab, something like that. And you can see it's visibly it's the same thing, but it's slightly different in terms of what they've cropped, because we've got the wires at the right hand side, but for some strange reason the top of it has been cropped a little bit differently, and what they've done with the brightness and contrast has made the thing go quite bright, which is not right. We've got a green thing on the right hand side where it's next to the SM57. On the left hand side it's just white. There's slight differences in the spacing of the text as well, and at the bottom on the fake one the last couple of sentences are in normal text and they seem to be in some sort of bold type font on the genuine one. This one's a bit strange. This is the side of the box where it tells you a little bit about the microphone in a variety of different languages. Well, it's quite obvious to see that on the fake one, when we're looking at the top line, we've got a couple where the actual text is indented slightly and it's moved to the right. So that's fairly obvious. It's not aligned properly. And on each box on the bottom right hand side we've got the Portuguese one. Now I don't know the proper name for those letters in the alphabet that have little squiggles above them, but there's quite a few in Portuguese. And on the genuine one it's done properly and the little sort of accent and things are on the right word, and they're totally missing on fake. This is the side of the box where I actually can't see a difference. Both of the boxes look absolutely identical to me, so let's move on to the next one. Now this is the dodgy sticker. Warning, cancer and reproductive harm. I just generally have no idea how a microphone can possibly be reproductive harm. It's a bit of a mystery, this one. And it isn't on the genuine one, of course. Then we move on to the ends of the box. And that's where the problems start. Because the fake one is an SM57 LC, it says. It's an instrument mic, it's cardioid dynamic. Yeah, that's fine. The actual sort of barcode and the little symbols and things all look pretty good. Can't see any real problem there. On the genuine one, there's an extra line where it tells you there's a 5/8 to 3/8 stand adapter, you know, to adjust the size of the thread. That's nothing really, is it? I wouldn't really ring an alarm bell. But of course, the fake one says Shure, made in Mexico. And we know it's a Chinese microphone, so it's a bit strange that they put made in Mexico, but I suppose nowadays made in Mexico is pretty common. And Fender do it with their guitars, don't they? So the made in USA ones cost more money than the made in Mexico ones. And Shure are doing it too. And here is the big problem, because on the genuine one, which is actually an SM57 LCE, the genuine one says Shure, made in China. So Shure are now having their microphones made in China, which is what makes me wonder, is the reason for all these really good copies, because in actual fact they're real. I mean, the little zip bag that comes with Shure mics, typically the foreign counterfeit ones had got quite a hard brittle plastic. It wasn't soft and supple. Well, now the fake one has actually got a really nice soft one, and I can't see the difference between that bag and the real one. So have they now got access to these things? Thomann, don't forget, have been using their SM57 microphone for quite a while now, and clearly it sounds like an SM57, it looks like an SM57, but they've rebadged it with their own brand. Is it real? I mean, is it made in the same factory that Shure are now making theirs? I looked inside these, I pulled them apart, opened them up. They're extremely similar, and it does seem a bit strange that if you're going to counterfeit something, you'd actually go to the trouble of changing the inside to make it look genuine. I mean, in the past, the insides of these have usually been the giveaway, and once you unscrew them and have a quick peek inside, you don't really have much of a decision to make. You know one is a fake and one's not just by looking at it. Not so with these. Where do we go from there? Well, apart from the fact that the fake one has got a cancer warning on the box, it's beyond me how a microphone would possibly give you cancer, and reproductive harm. So using a Shure SM57 stops you having babies, does it? Who knows? It's a bit strange, but there we go. But what have we got? Well, inside there are some differences. If I start to pull them to pieces, you'll see what I mean. Oddly, there is a difference in the boxes. When you open the box like that, well, on the fake one, the big label with all the blurb is on the left as you look at the box. And on the genuine one, it's on the other end. So somehow they're putting them together back to front. It's a conscious decision. One of those addendum sheets. Interestingly, there is no addendum sheet in the brand new genuine SM57. Now, there's actually quite a chunky manual. The trouble is it's like full of languages. It's only got 3 pages in English. 1, 2, 3, that's it. Looks thick. And bear in mind, not only does it look thick, with all those pages, it's quite heavy. And this was the lighter of the 2 boxes, wasn't it? Pull the clip out, fairly normal. I mean, it just looks and feels like the genuine Shure. There is a subtle difference. You can spot the difference on these, by the way. I'll show you the picture of the difference between the 2 end bits. This bit here. On the counterfeit one, the brass ring, it's the 5/8 thread, is pushed in and it's got a serrated edge. So basically you just stick it in while the plastic's warm and it locks in and it's pretty good. The genuine Shure one doesn't have those little serrations visible from the end. It's a very small point, but you know, it is a difference. The 2 boxes have even got the same style of bubble wrap with the slightly bigger bubbles, you know, the ones that are more fun to pop. And even the sticker looks the same. You know, I'm having real trouble. If I get these mixed up, apart from the fact the instruction book is different, the rest of this, I'm not really going to be able to tell the difference. Other things in the box, well, we've got the service centre big folded up printout and the usual little yellow one, which is, before using this product, please read and save the enclosed warnings and safety instructions. Oh, why you'd want safety instructions with the microphone, I really don't know. But that's pretty much what's in the box. If I go to the genuine one, well, same sticker, same fold-up sheet. The instruction manual in millions of languages has been replaced by 1 sheet, double-sided, contains the same information, and the little diagram even looks the same, but it's only in 1 language. Both of the boxes have got one of those little sort of cable tie wraps, which is nice. And there's something that is a little bit different. So the mic clip has got a little QR code on it. It's like a little yellowy brown QR code just inside there, and I've never seen that before. So if it has been there, I apologise, I've just never noticed it, but I did see it on this one and wondered why would they do that. But I suppose it's a step that sort of does identify it. Anyway, if we stick it on there and we'll fire these things up, remember that we mentioned about a weight difference. Well, 275 grams is the genuine and the fake was 225. So the fake has actually got a heavier instruction book but still comes in a bit light. The genuine 57 is a sort of a weighty, chunky microphone, and that's different. So the fake one is definitely lighter, and I can detect that difference in my hand. There's also a difference in the colour. it's quite common for a lot of the fakes to have a really bright grill that sort of screams out at you as being sort of wow, a bit over the top. But oddly, in these two, the genuine one has got what looks like a normal SM57 grill. It's a sort of grey colour rather than bright silver. And if you swap it with its neighbour, they're similar. The actual fake one is even darker still. So instead of looking for the bright one as being the fake, in this particular one, the darker one is the fake. Another sort of small difference, but it's a very small difference. And looking at these, the other giveaway on all of these type mics was the little fins, and the fake ones have got thicker fins, and this doesn't. The fake one and the real one, I wouldn't be able to tell them apart. There's a slight difference in the printing. The genuine one has got slightly more sort of contrast on where the Shure and low impedance and cardioid symbols are. So it's a sort of, where it says SM57 dynamic, that stands out a bit more than the fake one. And the fake one, the font is not quite right. It's close, but not quite right. And the actual label that's around and stuck down is not as black. So this particular one, it's a very dark grey, and it stands out against the black plastic. So very dark grey, and on the Shure, it's actually black. Well, I think the comparison is probably going to be quite short because they're pretty close. So we're on the SM7B, the comparison mic. Let's go across first to the fake one. So we're on the fake now. So this is the SM57, the good quality fake, if we can call it that. And usual, it's about a hand span away from the microphone, from that to my mouth. So that's the SM57. I feel a bit like a sort of president, sort of standing here talking into two 57s at the same time. So we've got a 57 and it's a fake one, but it's a good quality fake one, I think. Let's switch across to the genuine one. So we're on the genuine one now, and what do we think? Well, I think there is a tonal difference. Maybe. It's close though. I think I can detect it, but it's not perhaps as extreme as I thought. Now the snag really with these, and we'll keep switching between the two as just I finish the chat off, is that you could so easily buy this fake. I mean, if you saw one second hand on eBay in a genuine box, or at least a box that looked genuine, would you be able to sort of tell the difference when it turned up? Well, maybe the video will give you a clue as to what to look for. But it also strikes me that quite a lot of sellers wouldn't know. I mean, if you were going to take these one of these second-hand places like cash converter type businesses, where you give them a microphone and they buy it off you for a few quid, well, they're going to be taken in by the quality of the box. They're not really going to have much of a chance to test it out. I mean, maybe they'll be able to plug it in and go 1, 2, but I don't suppose quality-wise they can do any more than that. So in all honesty, they're going to be taking some of these in as brand new or nearly brand new, genuine microphones, and then selling them out. I think if you're going to buy a Shure SM57, probably or a 58 at the moment, you've really got to be ever so careful, because the quality of these copies is now so close to the original that I'm very convinced that there are loads of people out there who think they've got really original Shure 57s who haven't. They've got one of these copies because the differences are so small. And if you saw two boxes, one said made in China and one said made in Mexico, you'd probably believe the made in Mexico one was the genuine one and the made in China one wasn't, which is the wrong way around. So it's a bit of a quandary. We've got a tiny adjustment in the weight. So there is a bit more weight in the real one. But inside the things, there's like a little yellow band on the transformer epoxy. And that exact same yellow band is on the other one. The little PCB at the end of the microphone end of the unit is so similar to the genuine Shure one I really don't know how I would tell the difference apart. It's extremely close. There we go then. Things to look out for to try and increase the chances of you detecting a fake versus the original. But it's not an easy one at all. And realistically, you could make mistakes. The printing on the box is probably the most obvious thing. So the printing on the box, the slight difference in the label colour on the microphone, but they've managed to sort of do the rest of it pretty well. You would think that if you've managed to do the other things so well, why let it down with bad Photoshop editing or the wrong colour of plastic stick-on label? I don't know, but it means for me that the only way I can check that I'm buying a genuine one is to always pay the full price and buy it from a dealer who is authorised to sell Shure mics. So that's easy enough to find out. It means that if I was to sell this genuine Shure 57 I've just bought, I'm a small business. People are not going to believe that it's not a fake. I mean, I'm not an authorised Shure dealer, so I shouldn't be selling Shure microphones, should I? But it is a genuine one, so I could quite happily plonk it on eBay and sell it, and I've done nothing wrong. But people are going to think I'm trying to sell a fake and get full price money for it. If I try to sell it for half the price that people expect to pay, people know it's a fake. So there's one thing I forgot to mention. We always think of Shure SM57s as being the instrument mics and the SM58 being the vocal mics. But one of my favourite bands in the early 70s was Status Quo. And they always used to use 57s as their vocal mic on stage. And they used to actually have high stands. And actually microphone would be tilted down in front of them like that. So it looked a bit strange, but it sort of worked. And I don't remember anybody criticising them and saying it sort of sounded a bit strange. The weird thing is you do get a very nasal sound because your nose is actually very close to the side grill here. So it does sound a bit odd, but I think with a bit of EQ you can make it usable. And they certainly used them like that for years. The only thing you've got to watch out for is the P's, the B's and the sibilants. So if I do it here, the P's and the B's and the sibilants that comes from gaps in your teeth, and when you sort of do that sort of sound, can be a bit of a problem. And of course, they're actually on stage and they're amplified and very loud. So they're going to be talking probably really loudly. And then when they sing, whoa, 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 that's pretty potent, really. So that's sort of how you can use an SM57 on vocals if you really want to. But if the P's and the B's are a bit much for you, you can actually use one of these. Shure have always had in their catalogue a purpose-designed foam windshield for the 57s. I mean, if you poke your finger in the end, it's all it is. It's just foam. But it's got like a plastic collar on this end and a little sort of split ring that goes in there. And what you actually do is stick that on the mic, and then there's actually a little screw, and you just basically turn it with a flat blade screwdriver and it locks this securely onto your microphone, and that little split ring that's inside stops the screw scratching the mic. It's a really neat little accessory. They're not even particularly expensive either. You just don't see people use them. But if you're on a budget and you can only afford to buy one mic, you could buy a 57 and one of these windshields, and you can do both. You can use it as a vocal mic. The P's and the B's get looked after by the foam windshield. And if you want to use it on a guitar cab or whatever like that, or a snare drum, just pull it off. So for one-man band people, perhaps someone who wants to strum a guitar, and you don't quite know what you're doing, well, what you could do is buy two of these. You can then do stereo recordings, You can put them on voices, you can put them on instruments. It's a really versatile mic. And for some very strange reason, you never see people use these. So that's all I can think of to say about 57s. So look after yourselves, have a great week, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.